What's going on? I'm going to walk you guys through exactly what I did to go from 216 pounds all the way down to 194 pounds on the day of the show. This was my exact show prep from the 1st of January all the way until May. I think it was 27th was my show. Was it? Yeah, May 27th. And what you're going to notice is it's really not as complicated as it seems. It just takes a couple key things. The first one being you have to be ready mentally to be extremely consistent. So, what a lot of guys try to do is they make these conditions on themselves and they make everything conditional, meaning like, well, I'll eat the same meals, but only Monday through Thursday. And then I need to have a little bit of variety on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And like we have the Sunday family meal time and we have, Saturdays we always go out and then Thursdays we have date night. And those conditions over time just steal away a lot of your progress. Because fat loss, in essence, is literally just math, right? If I'm in a calorie deficit of, let's say, 400 calories a day, and I do that over the course of a week, I'm in a negative deficit of, was that 2,800 calories? It's just shy of a pound of what's called adipose tissue, which is, I'll call it fat tissue. And when we're just shy of that, right, we're going to continually lose weight. Now, you could be in a calorie deficit of only 2,400, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, and you might lose about a pound a week to 2 pounds a week. In the beginning, you might even find that you're losing 2.5 to 3 pounds a week, and that's because weight comes from a lot of different things. The scale is not the most accurate measuring tool, one could say, for progress, because you could lose 3 pounds overnight. I mean, I've done it. And obviously, I wasn't in a negative calorie deficit of 10,500 calories. For those of you that don't know, it takes 3,500 calories to burn a pound of fat tissue. So obviously, in one day, I'm not in a negative deficit of 10,500 calories, but I've lost 3 pounds overnight. And that's because of water weight, glycogen, which is like the amount of sugar that's in your muscles. Could also be, you took a huge dump. Like, let's be honest, you expel a lot of food, or let's say you've been cutting for a while and you actually eat a bunch of food on a Sunday, and then the next day you go right back on plan. Like, your body can fluctuate anywhere between 0 and 5 pounds within 24 hours. So this is not going to be like, this is not going to make sense on a mathematical scale at all times of like, well, he was only in a deficit of 3,500 or 4,000 a week. Guys, it really just comes down to turning your body into a fine-tuned machine. It really comes down to just making your body very predictable. And the way that you do that is you start with what are called base meals. So back in January, my coach and I, we came up with 3 meals. And I ate these 3 meals out of the 5 meals a day that I was doing. I ate these meals 24 to 25 times. I'm sorry, 5 times 7 is 35. So 34 to 35 times a week. It was the exact same meals. I would vary it a little bit with like pineapple versus strawberries, or some days I do blueberries. Some days I do cream of rice. Some days I do oats. Some days I do what's called rice and grinds, which you can find on Amazon. And the thing was that I was teaching my body what to expect, because the more your body can predict, like, this is what we're going to get, the more even across the more even across the other factors of sugar in your muscles, glycogen, water retention, things like that, the easier those variables become. I want to create as little amount of variables during a fat loss cut as possible. And so I eat extremely consistently. Like, I don't mess around, man. Like, when it comes to my meals, like, I take absolute precaution of, like, I don't even want to call it precaution. I want to call it more like just intention, like absolute intention of like, I'm going to eat the same thing, and I'm going to vary it enough where I'm interested, but not vary it enough where my body is confused. Because let's say I eat these meals, right? 5 meals a day for 14 days in a row. On that 15th day, I just slam a pizza, right? Like a whole buffalo chicken pizza to the face, which, trust me, I wanted to do numerous times. What's going to end up happening is my body's going to go, oh shit, like look at all these carbs, like, and it's going to do an extreme uptake, and it's going to hold on to a lot of water. It's going to hold on to a lot of sugar, and it's going to hold on to a lot of weight. And all of a sudden I can technically, even on a mathematical standpoint, I could probably only be in a surplus of 300, 400 calories, but I might on the scale put on 4 pounds. So what I'm going for during a cut always is I'm always going for consistency across my meals. So we started back in January with 3 whole eggs, 300 grams of egg whites. My carbs were one of 3 things: cream of rice, rolled oats, or what are called rice and grinds, which is basically just a better cream of rice. You can find it on Amazon. It's unbelievable. Now, I would only eat beef, and I did eat beef all the way up to 2 weeks before the show, which most guys don't. They start doing like fish and white fish and like chicken, which is, I was more concerned about the micronutrient profile leading up into the show than I was about just aesthetics, right? Because I didn't want to be a literal zombie. And when you're in a fat loss cut, you don't want to be a literal zombie. So beef has a ton of micronutrients. We did 160 grams of 93.7 or better. So I stayed away from 90.10. I definitely stayed away from 85.15. Don't get me wrong, 85.15 is delicious. And if that's all you can swing, that's all you can swing. But the leaner the beef, the better for overall calories. And then I did 250 grams of potatoes or sweet potatoes or red potatoes. Or I would mix in once a week what are called air fryer crisps, which are essentially like pre-made French fries. I'd get the ones that are literally just like the little bit of sunflower oil and just potatoes in the frozen section. And then we did 150 grams of chicken, 1 cup jasmine. This is cooked, not uncooked, but cooked. And I'd mix that all in. I got the pre 100 calorie made guacamole cups. And then every so often I'd mix in half a serving of almonds. This was a base. I was eating like this for probably about 2 months before I even got into a cut. This brought me down from 216 to like 212 just because of the consistency. So my body didn't feel the need to hold on to water. And it was like a really good maintenance for me. Now, late in March is when we started to kick in cardio sessions. Now, the cool thing was we had a very intentional way of going about ourselves where I didn't want to cut food. I wanted to increase output. So you can create a deficit whether by lowering food or by increasing your overall output. We chose output, and that's because I like food. I'm sure you like food. And 4 30-minute sessions, whether it's 2 on a stair climber, 2 incline walks, like that type of stuff, what you're going to find is with that cardio, it's going to be about 100 calories per 10 minutes. So I was just tacking on an additional 1,200 calorie deficit over the course of a week. Thus, it begun like a very strong and consistent weight loss, but my hunger levels were pretty much identical. Like I didn't necessarily feel it to the degree where I was like, oh my God, I'm starving now. Like most guys go into a diet and they're like, they cut so much food out, their body goes into starvation mode. I can tack on 4 30-minute sessions of cardio and my body's like, all right, that was a little bit more, but like, we're not going to be so starving now that we're going to have these extreme cravings. If you notice, the cut was very simple. We just went down to 3/4 cups jasmine rice, and that was really it. I cut a little bit of potatoes, and that was it. Breakfast stayed exactly the same. We went down to just 2 whole eggs versus 1 whole egg. So I only lowered by maybe 250 calories in terms of input, and then I increased my output by 1,200 calories. And this is just about over the course of 7 days, we're talking, it was negligible. Like I wasn't even hungry. I wasn't hungrier. I was like, oh my God. And weight just started to fall off, pound a week, pound and a half, pound a week, pound and a half. On the 4th, notice we didn't change anything. I weighed in on the 4th at 207. I lost 5 pounds between the 25th and the 4th of April. Didn't change any food, just added an additional cardio session. So hunger started to creep in a little bit here. Notice my weight slowly started coming down. I was 203 by the 14th. So in the next 10 days, I lost 4 pounds. I'm telling you, my hunger levels were extremely manageable, and I mitigated a lot of it through carbonated drinks like seltzers and Diet Cokes and things like that, 0 calories. Now on the 12th, we upped it to 35-minute sessions. Okay? I had tweaked my knee doing squats, and I really didn't feel good on walks. Like I was actually kind of limping a little bit. I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, am I gonna blow the show? Am I gonna be able to do cardio? Nope. I was totally fine. Honestly, man, like I hopped on the bike and it was fantastic. Like it rebuilt my knee in a couple weeks. And right now my knees actually feel great because I was putting very little strain on them, and the bike just does a great job picking it up. So on the 12th, we just added that. On the 21st, we added 10 more minutes. And you can see my weight. On the 25th, I cracked 200. Okay. Now this was where I was probably the happiest I'd ever been with my body at 199.6. I mean, I was lean. I was probably about a water cut away from walking on stage, and I felt amazing. And that's the thing. A lot of guys, 5 weeks out, they're starting to like really slow down. They're like really like kind of dying a little bit. They're like, oh my God, they're eating whitefish. They're eating chicken and broccoli and rice for every single meal, like 5 times a day. Like they're not even eating eggs. They're only eating egg whites. And it's like their micronutrient profile's trash. But guys, you can literally place at a bodybuilding show like I did on the 27th of May. I literally came in 3rd place on my first show ever. And I was eating beef and eggs and all these densely like micronutrient foods. You do not have to be completely depleting yourself. Anyone who says that is a psychopath. And maybe the guy in first place, like he took it a little bit, a lot farther. I tell you, he was probably about 3 years ahead of me. He'd been competing for 3 or 4 years, the guy who won my class. Okay, so in the 1st of May, we really up. This is where I would say I really started to get hungry, right? 6 45-minute sessions. I'm burning an additional almost 3,000 calories just from cardio. Mind you, I'm still working out 6 days a week here. So I'm still lifting weights 6 days a week, just trying to get everything going. Meal 1, this is where we really started to cut down, okay? So we went all the way down to 1/2 cup jasmine rice. We upped the chicken to 170 grams. Potatoes went all the way down to 100 grams, which really is not a lot. But notice how breakfast stayed exactly the same. Okay, so again, small tweaks. I didn't do these massive jumps. I didn't cut carbs out completely. Guys, I was still eating over 100 carbs per day. My big secret here was I started adding a ton of vegetables for volume. So it just says green beans here, but I threw in handfuls of spinach, multiple handfuls of lettuce. I started chopping up pickles with every single one of my meals, like 3 or 4 pickles, because they're 5 calories a piece, totally negligible. And honestly, the pickle juice is really good for your digestion. 2 weeks out, we cut down to 1 beef daily. We replaced that other beef with another 170 grams. And I started to do my water cut. So we went up to 6 liters, 1.5 gallons of water daily. And then we went all the way up to 55-minute sessions. I split this into 2. It's better for you. In my opinion, better for you psychologically as well, to go in and do a 25-minute session and then do a 30-minute session after that. On the 16th, we did a little bit of a prep. We were like, you know what? Let's see what we need to do to really get things going and get muscles popping again, feeling good. On the 15th, I actually texted my coach. I said, man, like I'm miserable. Like my psychology was off. My mindset was terrible. I was snapping at my wife. Like I just was a miserable, miserable man. And we were about 2 weeks out, and this is where it gets tough. This is where a lot of people quit. And I really needed I need a little bit of a boost. So my coach, being the guy that he is, he's very smart, goes, you know what? We're going to up all the way up to 400 calories today. And I want you to have a cup and a half of rice. I subbed in some rice cakes in between that. And then I kept water to 115 grams. But that surge of carbs did wonders for me psychologically. On the 19th, we were 8 days out. This is where I cut beef completely. 8 days out. Mind you, most people are literally eating like white fish and chicken for like 5 weeks straight at this time. This is what the water cut looked like. If you're just a normal guy just trying to like get into great shape, you can do it without a water cut. So completely ignore the water loading and cutting that out. And then Friday, I went all the way down to on Friday before we really upped the carbs. I was having cups of jasmine rice, which was great. I completely took out the salads. But man, the added carbs here, I just started to dense up and harden up. It was fantastic. And then day of, it was just really about, consistency here. What I will tell you, and what a lot of people will tell you, is that, different carbs do different things for different people. So me, I was supposed to eat this right before I went on stage. So I went on stage about 12:30. I was supposed to have white rice. Now, I was really excited about the rice cakes. For some reason, I was like, I'm going to have rice cakes instead, thinking that it's going to do better in terms of like injecting glycogen and filling me out, making me feel like really dense and strong. I'll tell you, I walked on stage. I looked a little flat, unfortunately. Even with this pre-stage snack here of like peanut butter and jelly and all that stuff on rice cakes, like I just felt flat. I had a pounding headache. Right after I went on stage for the first time, I had this meal. Okay, like I had the white rice instead of carbs because it was interchangeable. Okay. When I tell you, dude, like I literally felt like a new human being. I felt like a new human being. My body, the way that it processes actual rice versus rice cakes, it's completely night and day. So my big like explanation for you there is just like pay attention to how you feel after you eat certain things. You're probably going to get more energy from real food, like 99.9% of us, than you will ever get from fake stuff, even though the macros are the same. So with that being said, that was exactly how I went all the way down to 194 pounds with a water cut, with everything, getting on stage and taking third place in my class. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. You can go to @unbreakabledads on Instagram. The link's in the caption. And you can message me there. It's always me. I don't have a team or anything like that. So just send me any DMs with any questions. If you want to just take these meals, I would highly suggest if you're anywhere between 210 and 225, you can do this and you'll get right down to under 200 in 12 weeks, no problem. And like literally zero problem if you followed this and do exactly what I did. It is a cakewalk. Those first like 15 pounds were super, super easy. I was actually shocked. I remember telling my coach, I was like, dude, bodybuilding doesn't even feel like it's that hard. It got hard the last 3-4 weeks, trust me. But dude, use this to trim off those first 15 pounds. You'll be good to go. I promise you. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram. I'll talk to y'all soon.